I got drunk at a company dinner and called my boss my husband. My coworker teased, someone's desperate to get with the boss. My boss shot me a cold look. If you can't control your mouth, why are you drinking? In the brief silence that followed, the notoriously difficult client sitting across from us let out a smirk. She was talking to me. Why are you getting so worked up? I followed Landon from college all the way to his company, just to be his assistant. Everyone knew I was in love with him. One day, as I was about to drop off some documents, I heard people inside his office joking around. Fiona's an heiress. Are you really okay with her deigning to be your assistant? Landon clicked his tongue. She's the one who insisted on coming. What was I supposed to do? Someone else laughed. True. She's always loved sticking to your side. Hasn't changed a bit after all these years. But seriously, Landon, you're really not going to get with her? She's been dreaming of being with you forever. Last time her family set her up on a blind date, you dragged us out for drinks late at night. I really thought you cared about her. As soon as he said that, Landon's mood seemed to sour, and his voice turned icy. She's just a clingy pest. What is there to care about? Outside, my hand, which had been raised to knock, slowly fell. I grabbed the doorknob and pushed the door open. The people inside froze for a second when I walked in. But only for a second. Soon, they were all smiles again, acting like nothing happened. Hey, Fiona. Bringing Landon breakfast again? I delivered his breakfast every single day, without fail. Landon didn't even look up, as if he knew exactly what I was about to do. He just casually gestured with his chin. Put it on the desk. But I shook my head. I placed the file and my resignation letter on the table together. It's not breakfast. It's my resignation letter. For your review, Mr. Evans. Everyone was stunned. They swarmed the desk, leaning down to read the letter. In disbelief, they asked. Wait, Fiona, are you serious? Landon finally frowned and looked up. He looked right at me. What's this drama about? I pushed the letter closer to him. I'm quitting. I also sent a digital copy to your email. Don't forget to check. Landon glanced at the letter on his desk and asked impatiently. Is this because I made you work a little overtime yesterday? I shook my head. No. I just don't want to do this anymore. Landon's face finally darkened. As I turned to leave, he called out to me. Fiona. If you walk out now, there's no coming back to my side. It sounded like a threat, or maybe a warning. I didn't even turn my head. I couldn't ask for anything more. The atmosphere in the room instantly dropped to freezing. As I pushed the door open to leave, I heard a cautious voice from behind me. Landon, she's just throwing one of her rich girl tantrums. Don't take it to heart. Yeah, you know how much she likes you, right? She'll probably regret it by this afternoon and come crying back. Landon stared daggers at the closed door and sneered. Who cares? I threw out all the useless stuff from my time at the company. In the end, there was nothing left. Looking at my empty desk, I almost wanted to laugh. My mind flashed back to the anonymous video I received last night while I was stuck working late. In a flashy, high-end private room, Landon had his arm around a stunningly beautiful woman, listening nonchalantly to the chatter around him. Is Fiona seriously still slaving away at the office for Landon right now? You gotta hand it to Landon, he knows how to handle her. That heiress hasn't been to one of our parties in forever, has she? It was true. I'd spent years chasing Landon. I was a rich kid, but I worked for him like a dog. Whenever he asked, I'd willingly work overtime, handle his schmoozing, and run myself ragged. And all I got in return was a joke from his friends. When you put it that way, Fiona really is like Landon's most obedient dog. And him, sitting there, swirling his drink, not denying it. He even let out a little chuckle. What are you talking about? She's the only one who acts like my dog. What's this most obedient crap? The room erupted in laughter. In that moment, it felt like a bucket of ice water had been dumped over my head. It was cold. But it was also like I'd instantly woken up. After a moment, I silently pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts to find the blind date my family had set me up with a while ago. I'd heard he was a really great guy. But I was so obsessed with Landon back then that I kept putting off the meeting, hoping to sabotage the whole thing. Now, it felt a little wrong. But as everyone knows, the best way to get over someone is to start something new. I tapped the screen. Want to meet up tomorrow? To my surprise, he replied almost instantly. Okay. My blind date was a perfect gentleman. He insisted I pick the time and he would arrange the place. The problem was, when my parents first brought him up, I hadn't listened to a single word. Which meant I now knew absolutely nothing about him. I arrived at the restaurant early and hesitated outside the door. What if I don't recognize him? Wouldn't that be awkward? As I paced back and forth, I bumped into someone. I looked up. My eyes met a perfectly tailored, sharp suit. Moving up, I saw a face with features so exquisite it was almost infuriating. And the owner of this face was looking at me with a gentle expression. Why aren't you going in? His lips, which looked incredibly kissable, moved as he spoke. I subconsciously swallowed. Then I quickly realized how flustered I was. Because I knew this man. Leo North. A major player in our circles. I'd seen his name countless times on Landon's list of target partners. But the rumor was that he was ruthless, merciless, and impossible to get close to. They'd never once managed to land a deal with him. I quickly backed away to let him pass. Sorry, so sorry. I was waiting for someone and got distracted. My apologies, please, you go first. But the man in front of me let out a soft laugh. Ms. Scott. I looked up, surprised. How did he know my name was Scott? His eyes crinkled with a smile. Is it possible that the person you're waiting for is me? I was floored. My family just said they'd set me up with a really great guy. I never in my wildest dreams imagined it would be someone on Leo North's level. It wasn't until I was sitting across from him in the private room he'd arranged. On the surface, I kept a smile plastered on my face. Under the table, my hands were furiously texting my mom. The guy you set me up with is Leo North? Are we prominent enough to be arranging marriages with his family now? Did you guys secretly get rich behind my back? My mom instantly replied with question marks. What are you talking about, sweetie? Daydreaming already? We set you up with one of Leo North's distant nephews. Didn't your aunt explain it to you? I glanced at the man across from me, who was watching me with a smile. Could there really be another face this handsome in the world? Our eyes met. I couldn't pretend to be busy anymore. I could only stammer out. Excuse me, you are Mr. Leo North, correct? He nodded, then gave an apologetic smile. Yes. My apologies, I haven't introduced myself yet. Hello, Ms. Scott. My name is Leo North, and I'm your blind date for today. It's a pleasure to meet you. A short and sweet introduction. Except it was completely different from what my mom had told me. I was a mess. But, the person I was set up with. Wasn't he? Leo raised an eyebrow. He lifted the teacup on the table and took a light sip. That kid isn't good enough for you. So I came instead. He looked up at me. What's wrong? Do you prefer him, Miss Scott? I was stunned. The way he said that. It was like he knew me well. My heart was pounding. But Leo remained perfectly composed, his calm, deep eyes fixed on me, clearly expecting an answer. I had to force myself to speak. Of course not. I don't even know him. He chuckled softly. So you don't mind me taking his place, then? I swallowed hard. And no. Of course I didn't mind. From my perspective, wasn't he the one getting the short end of the stick here? But Leo seemed genuinely happy with my answer. He pulled out a thick book from somewhere, stood up, leaned over, and placed it in front of me. Good. This is my personal profile. It includes my basic information, hobbies, profession, salary, and a list of my personal assets. Please, take a look. To be honest, Ms. Scott, I came on this date with the intention of getting married. My social circle is devoid of women, so I can guarantee absolute fidelity in a marriage. After we're married, I will uphold all my prenuptial promises and transfer all my personal assets to you, no strings attached. I will not put any pressure on my other half. As long as we don't divorce, she will have absolute freedom. If you find my conditions satisfactory, I hope my wish. After that long speech, he suddenly paused. Those beautiful eyes started working their magic on me again. Can be taken into consideration. Leo's voice was already warm and magnetic, and now his handsome face was staring at me without blinking. I was genuinely getting dizzy. Was this a fantasy my brain had cooked up after being driven mad by Landon? Under the table, I pinched my thigh. Hard. Ouch. So painful. It wasn't a dream. Perhaps my expression was becoming more and more dazed. It wasn't until a smile spread across Leo's eyes that I realized I'd lost my composure again. I quickly raised my glass for a tactical sip of water. Then I put on a serious face and said, Mr. North. Are you saying you want to marry me? He looked at me and nodded very seriously. Yes. Ms. Scott, I hope to have the honor of becoming your husband. His attitude was clear and firm. I was completely at a loss. Who proposes marriage on a first date? And with Leo North, of all people. This man who I'd always thought was completely out of my reach. Just sitting across from me so sincerely, so gently. Saying he wanted to be my husband. I still found it hard to believe. But why me? It was as if he'd expected me to ask this. He leaned back casually in his chair and tilted his head. A woman as capable, kind, and beautiful as you is one in a million, Miss Scott. Do I need a reason to want to marry you? After saying that, he even raised an eyebrow at me with a smile. His tone and expression were so incredibly earnest. It actually made me feel a little embarrassed. I touched my nose. But aren't your credentials even better? Leo paused for a rare 2 seconds. He looked straight into my eyes. So, Miss Scott, do you think I'm a good catch? I froze. I subconsciously swallowed. My eyes drifted to the table full of dishes that were perfectly suited to my taste, clearly chosen with great care. I had wanted to say something earlier. I had only asked him out late last night. And yet, for today's meal, he'd managed to research my preferences in such detail. As a blind date, at least, he was extremely sincere. And he wasn't at all the cold, ruthless person from the rumors. Add to that his own ridiculous list of hardware and software credentials. Who wouldn't think he was a good catch? I hesitated for a moment. You're great. Leo visibly brightened again, lowering his head to let out a couple of soft chuckles. He pushed the profile book toward me. Then, would you like to give it a try with me? I realized he was talking about marriage. My mind instinctively recoiled. It was a step that hadn't even appeared in my life plan yet. But the emotion Leo was showing was so genuine. I wanted to be as honest as I could, too. We could start by getting to know each other. After all, marriage. Isn't that a little fast? When he heard my answer, a flicker of disappointment crossed his eyes. But he quickly hid it. He nodded obediently. Okay, whatever you say. After dinner, Leo had his assistant arrange a driver to take me home. On the way, I overheard a conversation between him and his assistant and realized that he was supposed to have a very important international conference call right at the time I had asked him to dinner. I felt a wave of guilt. Did I make you miss your meeting? I'm so sorry, I didn't know. Leo waved his hand to reassure me. It's nothing. The meeting can happen anytime. Even though his tone and gestures all told me it was okay, I still felt terrible. Seeing my spirits drop, Leo actually bent down, brought his face close to mine, and blinked. Besides, what meeting is more important than finding a wife? After all, you asking me out isn't an everyday occurrence. His face was so close to mine. So close I could see his long, thick eyelashes fluttering. And his ridiculously beautiful eyes were filled with my reflection. In that instant, I could even hear my own heart beating faster and faster. Leo. Perhaps he saw the discomfort on my face. The tips of Leo's ears turned slightly red. He slowly pulled back. Ahem. I should get going. His goodbye was very rushed. And as he turned and strode away on his long legs, his steps seemed a little uncoordinated. I watched his back as I slowly rolled up the car window. A strange sense of happiness bloomed in my heart. It seemed I actually really enjoyed spending time with Leo. It wasn't until that evening. Leo must have just finished work, because he sent me a message. It was a picture of a bright moon high in the sky, clearly just taken. I quickly replied, "So beautiful." He replied even faster. "It is. It made me think of you." Think of me? My face grew inexplicably hot. Are you always this smooth? But he replied like an honest man. I just said what I was thinking. Is that considered smooth? This man. How could he always say things that made my heart race with such a straight face? I was trying to figure out how to respond, when a new message popped up. Are you free for dinner tomorrow? I barely hesitated. I am. Leo never hesitated to take the initiative. So for the next several days, I had dinner with him every single night. Sometimes, if he had free time after dinner, he would go shopping with me. With him by my side, I noticed more heads turning in my direction as I shopped. After dropping me home, he would always magically produce a gift from the car. Sometimes it was a hard-to-get limited edition handbag, other times it was a ridiculously expensive piece of high-end jewelry from an auction. At first, I didn't dare accept them. But his attitude turned uncharacteristically serious. Fiona, if we're in the getting to know each other phase, then that means I am pursuing you. Giving you gifts and other things is a cost I should incur for you. And this is all completely within my personal means. If you don't accept them, I will take it as you rejecting the idea of getting to know me further. As he spoke, he lowered his gaze. Or is that really what you mean? The look of dejection on his face left me completely speechless. I could only carry the bags, big and small, back home. Every day was an experience in being dizzied by money. But I felt bad always accepting his generosity. So, before our dinner that day, I went to a department store early, planning to pick out a gift for him, too. But after wandering around for a long time, I really couldn't find anything Leo would possibly need. I ended up choosing a brand he often wore and picked out a tie that I thought would be versatile. Just as it was being wrapped and I was paying, a sneer came from behind me. "Fiona, finally done with your little tantrum?" My movements froze for a second. Because I knew that voice. It was Landon's. I turned my head. Landon and a few of his buddies had appeared at the store entrance at some point and were now watching me with their chins smugly raised. I didn't give him a second glance and turned back to wait for the clerk to finish wrapping. But they insisted on coming closer. "Buying something, Fiona? Isn't that a man's tie? Picking it out for Landon? That style looks like it would go perfectly with Landon's suit today. Very thoughtful of you. But Landon's been pretty mad about you acting out all this time. One tie might not be enough to win him over." Amidst all the chirping, Landon scoffed. "Who needs a tie? But if you apologize properly, I can give you a way out." His voice made me sick. I decided not to look at him. I've already resigned. My name is Fiona, not assistant. And this isn't for Landon. Could you please mind your own business? After I said that, the smirks on their faces slowly faded. Landon's expression turned ugly. He stared at me for a long time. Still not done with this act? That's enough, Fiona. I don't have that much patience. Then, with a sneer, he glanced at the freshly wrapped tie. A man's tie. Who else would you be giving it to? I paid, took the bag. To my blind date. Is that a problem? Landon's eyes narrowed. Didn't you say you weren't going on that date? I walked toward the exit, gift in hand. I found a new one. His voice instantly turned cold. Who? I paused, then chose to tell him the truth. Leo North. The moment that familiar name was spoken, the group fell noticeably silent. A moment later, a soft laugh broke the silence. A mocking laugh. Landon's deep voice came from behind me. Fiona. Using another man to make me angry is stupid. Besides, if you're going to make something up, couldn't you at least make it believable? I didn't care whether they believed me or not. Without turning back, I walked straight out. Because of that little interruption, I was a bit late for dinner. When I arrived, Leo was folding a napkin into a flower. He saw me come in, made a few final adjustments, and presented a napkin rose to me. Ta-da! Pretty, right? I was taken aback. It's beautiful. So intricate. You're amazing. I'm sorry, something came up and I'm a little late. Have you been waiting long? Hearing my apology, Leo looked down and set the napkin rose aside, a fleeting look of loneliness in his eyes. It's okay. He paused for 2 or 3 seconds, then added, as if he couldn't hold it back. The driver said you ran into a friend just now. I froze. I had been so open about my crush on Landon for so long. Leo wouldn't even need to ask around to know how devoted I had been to him. But in all our time together, we had never talked about it. Now that he brought it up. He must be bothered by it, right? I quickly tried to clear the air. I wouldn't even call that person a friend. Leo looked at me, testing the waters. An old friend, then? I thought for a moment. Not that either. A prior conviction, at most. The serious expression Leo had been trying to maintain broke, and he burst out laughing. Seeing him smile, I took the opportunity to hand him the tie. The only reason I was late was because I was having trouble picking out a gift for you. What do you think? Does it suit you? Leo blinked, his eyes instantly lighting up. For me? I nodded. He looked like a child who had just been given a gold star by the teacher, his face full of surprise. He gently took the bag. Opening the box, he ran his fingers over the tie, his eyes sparkling. Thank you, Fiona. I love it. Realizing he might have been too familiar, he looked up at me and asked cautiously. Is it okay if I call you that? I blinked. Of course. Leo was thrilled. So thrilled that he immediately reached up, loosened his own tie, and took it off. I was surprised. Are you not going back to the office later? He shook his head. I am. I want to wear the one you bought me. Then he looked at me with puppy dog eyes. Would you be willing to tie it for me? I silently glanced at the suit he was wearing today. After a long internal debate, I couldn't help but speak up. Of course I'm willing. But a navy blue suit with a black and white tie. Isn't that a little weird? It looked a bit like performance art. But to my surprise, Leo saw no problem with it at all. Instead, he proudly lifted his head high. That's the point. This way, people will ask me, why is your tie so special today? And I can tell them it's the tie you gave me. And that you even tied it for me. He got lost in his own fantasy, shaking his head, getting more and more proud as he spoke. I thought if Leo had a tail, it would be wagging so hard he'd have forgotten which way was up. It was kind of cute. But Although we'd been spending a lot of time together, we hadn't actually defined our relationship. I hesitated for a moment. But helping someone tie their tie, isn't that usually something couples do? If you go around telling everyone, won't they get the wrong idea? Leo's fantasy bubble popped. He looked down, thought for a moment, and said, I told you from the beginning I wanted to marry you, Fiona. I very much hope that all those wrong ideas people get aren't wrong at all. But the truth. He glanced at me, then quickly looked away as if he was afraid of something. What are your thoughts? Leo's words were always so direct, my brain instantly short-circuited. Maybe it was because I had spent so long in a one-sided crush. In my mind, Leo and I had only known each other for a short time. And in such a short time, two people couldn't possibly establish an intimate relationship. Even if, in my heart, his place was already very intimate. In the long pause of my hesitation, Leo had already lowered his eyes. It's okay, Fiona. I'm not trying to pressure you. I never thought there would be an awkward moment between Leo and me. But there it was, right after that conversation. Although we both tried our best to maintain our usual dynamic, a subtle tension suddenly hung between us. Leaning against the floor-to-ceiling window at home, I felt a bit down. Leo was great, he was great to me, and I liked him a lot. So why did I always feel like being with him was something that should be far off in the future? As I was lost in thought, my mom suddenly called. The moment I answered, her voice boomed. Sweetheart, have you really been on dates with Leo North all this time? I quietly turned down the volume. Yeah. My mom took a deep breath on the other end of the line. My dear, why didn't you tell me sooner? I pouted. You probably wouldn't have believed me if I told you. Besides, we haven't officially hit it off yet, so I didn't say anything. My mom got very excited. Haven't hit it off? Are you trying to hide things from your mother again? Honey, I did all my homework before calling you this time. That Leo North has been in love with you for ages, head over heels. How could you two not have hit it off? I was stunned. What? Leo North? In love with me? For ages? My mom let out a series of triumphant hums. That's right. It all came out because your aunt couldn't help but ask Leo's nephew how things were going with you. The nephew looked like he was about to cry and said his uncle wouldn't let him go on the date and went in his place. Your aunt and I were shocked. Then I remembered what you told me, did the math, and it all added up. But we couldn't figure it out. A guy like Leo North, why would he steal a blind date from his nephew? So we started asking around. Talked to all our old friends, all our old contacts, and finally pieced most of it together. I was completely bewildered. What did you find out? My mom said smugly. Let me tell you everything. Our friend in the North family said Leo has been cool as a cucumber for years. The only time he ever acted a little strange was during the first semester of college one year. And guess what? That was the semester my darling daughter became famous for her dancing at the welcome party. Then, he took 2 copies of his college graduation photos. One was of his own class, and guess what the other one was? It was my darling daughter's class photo. But the biggest piece of evidence is the pair of dolls he's had in his room for years. The base of the female doll has the letters CS carved on it. Aren't those your initials? What are the chances of that? And there are so many other little details. His nephew also said that when his uncle heard he was going on a date with you, his face got so dark it scared the kid to death. The more my mom talked, the more shocked I became. If there were that many coincidences. It didn't really seem like a coincidence anymore. Back in college, it was true that a lot of guys liked me. But at the time, I only had eyes for Landon and was cold to all my pursuers. If Leo was one of them, I probably didn't give him the time of day. And he still thought about me enough to get my class photo at graduation? Thinking back on his behavior with me, it all started to make sense. I originally thought Leo wanted to marry me because I was a suitable match, or because he needed a wife. I never thought it was because he was genuinely in love with me. So when I started to feel dependent on him, I always tried to suppress it with logic. After all, I had initially started seeing him just to distract myself. How could two people with no real feelings get together so quickly? But if he had come to me from the start with a heart full of sincere love, then what reason did I have to hide or suppress my own budding feelings? It felt like a sudden, crystal clear realization. After hanging up with my mom, I felt an impulsive urge to go find Leo immediately. But for some reason, Leo, who always replied to my messages in seconds, hadn't responded to the first one I sent that evening. I waited until 10 p.m. with no reply, so I decided to call him. But the call went unanswered. I then tried contacting his assistant. But the number I had was his work phone. And at this hour, there was no answer. With no way to reach Leo, a strange anxiety started to creep in. But there was nothing I could do. I tossed and turned all night, giving myself huge dark circles. The next morning, I finally got a reply from Leo's assistant. "So sorry, Ms. Scott. I forgot to charge my work phone last night and didn't see your message." As for Mr. North, he seemed to be in a bad mood last night and told me not to contact him. But from what I know, his car is parked at his house. "Is there something urgent you need to see him about, Ms. Scott?" I quickly replied. "Nothing urgent, but could you give me his home address?" He sent an address right over. I opened it on the map. It was pretty close to me. Without overthinking it, I quickly got ready and took a cab over. Leo's house was a standalone villa, very luxurious. As I was about to ring the bell at the main gate, I noticed it wasn't closed. It opened with a gentle push. I sent Leo a text as I slowly walked in. As soon as I reached the front door, I heard a frustrated voice from inside. "Dude, are you kidding me? Bro. You're Leo North." It was followed by a broken-sounding male voice. "So what? Isn't Leo North human? Humans have feelings, and humans get hurt." I quickly recognized that as Leo's voice. But compared to usual, it was laced with the heartbreak of a slight buzz. The other person sounded helpless. "So you go and ask her to marry you right off the bat? Isn't it normal for her to hesitate a little?" Leo's voice was almost a whiny complaint. "But she used to always talk about wanting to marry that Landon guy. How come it's a no-go when it comes to me? And if I hadn't arranged for someone to send her that video of that psycho Landon losing it, she wouldn't have even come to the blind date. She might just be using me as a distraction. If I don't use marriage to keep her by my side, she might just suddenly run off one day, like when she ran into him again yesterday. Dude, it's been 7 years. I have to seize this chance." I was shocked. That anonymous video was Leo's doing? The other person was silent for a long time. "So you decided to get so wasted that 50 phone calls couldn't wake you up? Do you have any idea you drank through half the liquor cabinet? All because she hasn't made up her mind yet?" Leo didn't say anything, just sobbed. The other person was torn between helplessness and laughter. "Bro, I've really never seen you like this. You know, you just need to be yourself. No woman wouldn't fall for you. If she hasn't, it's just a matter of time, okay?" Leo sounded wounded. "Then why doesn't Fiona love me?" His friend gritted his teeth. "I said it's a matter of time. You idiot." After eavesdropping for so long, I couldn't help but laugh. But the sound gave me away. "Who's out there?" A tall, handsome man emerged. He looked like the scion of another powerful family. Looking at his face, I silently marveled. Handsome guys really do hang out with other handsome guys, and rich kids with other rich kids. Before I could say anything, he recognized me immediately. "Whoa, you're Fiona Scott, aren't you? Are you here to see Leo?" He spoke so fast I could only nod slowly in response. Yeah." He looked like he'd just found a lifeline. Quick, please come in." You have no idea how much he's been driving me crazy all morning. The guy hurriedly pulled me into the house. The first thing I saw was a complete mess. All sorts of bottles and glasses were scattered on the floor. Leo was sitting in a small corner, his hair disheveled, his eyes watery. His slightly damp shirt was unbuttoned a few times, hanging loosely and revealing a slice of his muscular shoulder and chest. I couldn't tear my eyes away. The guy looked at Leo, then at me, and his eyes lit up with an idea. "Hey, you two have a private chat. I'm going to grab some breakfast, I'm starving." Without waiting for my reply, he bolted, leaving me, at a complete loss, and a dazed Leo, facing each other in the huge living room. After a moment, I tentatively spoke. Are you okay?" Leo's hazy eyes instantly brightened. He blinked in disbelief. "Fiona? Is it really Fiona?" He looked so incredibly endearing right now that I just walked over and squatted down beside him. "It's me. I came to find you, Leo." Leo looked up and down at me from head to toe. After confirming it was me, he first lowered his head to fix his hair, then hurriedly buttoned up his shirt. "You were looking for me? Is something wrong?" I blinked at him. "I'm here to marry you. Is that okay?" His frantic primping stopped. He frowned and glanced at me. "Dreaming again?" Then he turned away, lay down flat on his back, draped an arm over his eyes, and let out a long sigh. "Forget it." I reached out and pinched his cheek. "It's not a dream. Get up, Leo. Let's go get married." The frown on his brow smoothed out halfway. I pinched his cheek a little harder. His frown completely disappeared. He shot up into a sitting position. "That hurt?" He looked at me in disbelief, then pinched his own thigh. He muttered to himself. "It's not a dream." I smiled at him. "That's right, it's not a dream. Don't you want to marry me? Why aren't you getting ready?" Leo was completely dumbfounded. He dutifully cleaned himself up and even took some medicine to sober up. Then he sat across from me, looking dazed. "How did you make up your mind overnight?" I sighed. "It's all because someone had a secret crush on me and never said anything, which made me think you weren't serious about marrying me, so I didn't dare say yes right away." Leo blinked. "What? Me?" I was exasperated. "Who else?" I recounted the whole story my mom had told me. He finally admitted it. "Okay. Your mom's guesses were pretty much on the money. But I thought I was being really obvious about liking you." I put my hands on my hips. "But from my perspective, we had just met. Even love at first sight needs a process, right? You came on so strong from the very beginning." He touched his nose. "Okay. I admit I couldn't hold back." Then he looked at me and asked tentatively. "So now, does my secret crush finally have an echo?" I thought about it. Of course. If you had been open about it from the start, you would have gotten an echo much faster. We stared at each other. "So, when are we getting married?" "The sooner the better." Coming out of City Hall, I felt like I was in a dream. The marriage license in my hand felt weightless. To say nothing of Leo, who had been trying to act calm ever since he sobered up. He cleared his throat. "Whether this was an impulsive decision or not. We have the license now, so you can't back out." I waved the red certificate at him. "Who would want to back out of marrying a man like you? I should probably hide this thing so no one steals it from me." Leo was clearly trying not to laugh at my teasing. But this time, he held it in. He thought for a moment. "So, should we move your things to my place later?" After saying that, he seemed to get embarrassed and added, touching his nose. "My place has good security. No thieves." I burst out laughing. "Okay." A faint blush crept up Leo's ears. We just stood there, face to face, exchanging about 800 glances. Then I tentatively spoke. By the way, Leo. Can we keep our marriage a secret for now? He immediately looked like he was facing a crisis. Why? I scratched my head. It's just. I said yes to marrying you because I was afraid you'd overthink things and I wanted to give you some security. But now that I'm suddenly married, I'm still not used to it. I want to give myself a little time to adjust. Leo was already won over by the first half of my sentence. His tightly pressed lips were starting to curve upwards. But when he spoke, his voice was still a little pitiful. How long do we have to keep it a secret? We can't tell anyone. I thought for a moment. How about we set a 1-month deadline? We can't tell anyone, okay? Leo's lips were pressed tight, his head down, and his fists clenched, like he was trying hard to convince himself. I waited patiently for 2 minutes. He really did convince himself. Okay. Looking at his still pitiful face, I wanted to laugh again. Who was spreading those rumors about Leo being cold and ruthless? This man was so sweet. I stood on my tiptoes and patted his head. Good boy, hubby. Leo's face instantly turned bright red. What did you just call me? I blinked. Hubby. Leo's face got even redder, and he ducked his head to try and hide it. Oh. I decided to tease him. So, hubby, what should you call me? Leo, blushing, glanced around, then leaned in close to my ear and whispered very softly and gently. Wifey. His hot breath tickled my ear. It was kind of nice. Didn't catch that, say it again. Leo let out a little laugh and then nipped my earlobe. Did you really not hear me? Wifey. The moist touch of his tongue sent a jolt through me, and I instantly pulled my head a foot away from him. I didn't forget to glare at him. But he just looked at me with a smile in his eyes. Wifey. You're so cute. That afternoon, Leo arranged for movers to help me. A massive moving truck was parked at the entrance to my apartment complex, so grand that everyone who passed by couldn't help but stare. And as fate would have it, in my previous state of obsession, I had bought an apartment in the same complex as Landon. He saw me, too. After realizing I was moving, he stood there with a dark face, staring at me for a long time before pulling me aside and saying irritably, Fiona, what the hell is this all about? I shook his hand off. I'm moving. What's it to you? He ran a hand through his hair. Fine. You're really something. Seeing that I was ignoring him, he added through gritted teeth. I won't make you work overtime anymore, okay? Stop this nonsense. It's not funny anymore. I ignored him and waved at the movers who were helping with my things. A mover brought a small box over and handed it to me. I took it and shoved it into Landon's hands. I'm not playing games. This was the birthday present you gave me. I'm giving it back. From now on, let's just pretend we don't know each other, okay? Landon's face completely fell. He stared at the box, looking like he wanted to say something, but he swallowed it back. I watched his chest heave for a while, but he couldn't seem to get a word out. I just turned and went back to supervising the move. The moment I walked away, I heard Landon mutter through clenched teeth. Fiona, don't you regret this? If I hadn't decided to keep our marriage a secret, I really would have said. I'm married. What the hell do I have to regret? The movers Leo hired were incredibly efficient. My things were a mess, but they managed to pack everything up neatly in a single afternoon. I had really moved into Leo's house. Everything was now in pairs. One for him, one for me. Seeing my clothes hanging next to Leo's, pressed tightly together, I felt my face flush. Why did the housekeeper put our pajamas together, too? But marriage. I guess it does mean. You know, that kind of stuff. As my mind was racing with these thoughts, Leo came home. He hugged me from behind, admiring the new look of the bedroom with great satisfaction. It feels like a home now. I squeezed his hands, not responding right away. He keenly sensed my change in mood. "What's wrong, Fiona? Why is your face so red?" I quickly covered my face and shut the closet door. It's hot." Leo looked at my actions and seemed to realize something. He asked mischievously, "Are you shy, wifey? Because we're living together now?" I jumped up and covered his mouth. "Who said you could ask that?" Leo planted a kiss right in my palm and raised an eyebrow. "If you're this shy, Fiona, what are we going to do when it's time for bed?" The moment he said that, I felt my whole head get hot. I must be red from head to toe by now. I buried my head and tried to push him away. Stop talking." But in a moment of carelessness, with my head down, I didn't see him move, and Leo scooped me up by the waist. The world spun. Leo placed me gently on the bed. He leaned over me, his hands softly stroking my cheek. "We're newlyweds. What else are we supposed to talk about? Why, Faye?" I covered my face with my hands, not daring to look at him. Leo grabbed my wrists and firmly pressed my hands against his firm chest. "Don't cover your eyes, Fiona. I want you to look at me. And I want to look at you." He lowered his head and kissed my lips. A moist, lingering touch. I could feel him meticulously tracing my lips, gently sucking them. A tingling sensation shot down my spine, making me involuntarily point my toes. "Leo." He gently bit my tongue. "Call me hubby." "Hubby." "Good girl." "Hubby." "What are your hands doing?" "You don't know, Fiona?" Hiss. Slower. And so I spent a rather shameless period of time clinging to Leo at home. He was refreshed and energetic every day. I was paralyzed in bed every day. As I was lounging around at home like usual, I suddenly got a call from a former coworker. She was a younger girl who had worked with me since I started at the company. She got straight to the point. "Fiona, I can't believe you really quit for good." I replied, exhausted. "Yep." She sighed. "Well, we've all really missed you. Fiona, if you're really not coming back, a few of us wanted to take you out for a farewell dinner." I didn't see any problem with that. "Sure, just send me the time and place." After agreeing, a thought struck me. "Who's going? Landon won't be there, right?" At the mention of Landon, she faltered. "Well, you were technically Landon's direct report before, so we couldn't really not invite him to something like this. But he's so busy, he probably won't even come." She seemed really afraid I would back out. But thinking about it, so what if Landon was there? He was just a stranger. Okay, fine then. I was completely unbothered. At least, that's what I thought. But then, on the day of the dinner, Leo mentioned he had a business dinner that night. Then he asked if I wanted to go out to eat. I shamefully hemmed and hawed. "I'm also going out. For dinner with a friend." "Which friend?" "Oh, just some old coworkers." "You don't know them?" "Not a single person I know." "Nope." My denial was firm. Leo stared at me deeply for a long moment. "Okay." Then he turned and left. I knew I shouldn't have been so secretive. But this was the man I had so openly chased for so long. Bringing him up in front of my current husband. It just felt awkward. Besides, he probably wouldn't even go. It's just one dinner. It'll be over before I know it. However, when I arrived at the restaurant address my coworker had given me, I saw Leo's car. My first instinct was to run. But the car was parked as if it was waiting specifically for me. The window rolled down immediately, revealing Leo's face. The moment our eyes met, I knew. I was so screwed. His chilly voice drifted out. "Wifey. You're having dinner with your friends here, too?" I wiped the non-existent sweat from my forehead. Before I could think of an explanation, Leo gestured toward the entrance with his eyes. The co-workers you mentioned, they wouldn't happen to be them, would they? I followed his gaze. And there they were, my co-worker and her group. As if to make sure I was properly doomed, they jumped up and waved at me. Fiona, over here, over here. I think I could have explained everything. If Landon hadn't been standing at the very back. When Leo spoke again, his voice was filled with disappointment. Fiona. Why did you lie to me? My palms were sweating. No, hubby, listen to me. But Leo didn't listen patiently like he usually did. He got out from the other side of the car. Watching him stride away on his long legs, I felt like I was about to cry. To make matters worse, when I sat down at the table, I realized my coworker had tricked me. This wasn't a farewell dinner for me at all. It was a business dinner between Landon's company and Leo's. My coworker said she tricked me into coming because my name was still on the proposal they had sent to Leo. Plus, Landon also wanted me to be there. He'd said that since I had used Leo's name to lie to him before, I had to be present at this kind of event. So they came up with this plan. I was so speechless I couldn't even get angry. Leo and I sat at opposite ends of the long table, neither of us looking at the other. I didn't look because I didn't dare. He was practically radiating bad mood. Stay away. Great. A situation that was already hard to explain had just gotten 10 times harder. I was in despair. When I first realized I'd been tricked, I genuinely wanted to flip the table and walk out. Especially with Landon occasionally shooting me a contemptuous look. I knew he had definitely gotten the wrong idea again. But Leo was here, and if I left, he wouldn't leave with me. Feeling completely powerless, my eyes landed on the alcohol on the table. Suddenly, an idea sparked. Leo was actually a big softie. Even if he believed my explanation, he would probably still be mad about the initial lie. Maybe I could play the pity card. In front of everyone. I poured myself a full glass. Everyone looked over at me. For the first time all night, Leo glanced my way. It's working. I felt a surge of energy. I downed the entire glass on the spot. Then I snuck a peek at him. I saw him frowning. It's really working. The alcohol hit me, making my head spin for a moment. I took a second to recover. Then I poured myself another glass. The coworker next to me couldn't help but speak up. Fiona, we haven't even started eating yet. You shouldn't drink like that. I ignored her. After the dizziness passed, I drank the second glass. I'm not usually a big drinker. 2 strong glasses back to back. This time, the feeling was even more intense than before. When I opened my eyes, I was seeing double. I looked at Leo. He was looking at me. I could tell the expression on his face was complicated. But I couldn't see it clearly. My mind was a mess. Just as I felt his gaze about to leave me, I blurted out. Hubby. The private room went instantly silent. You could hear a pin drop. One of the more obnoxious coworkers spoke first. Looks like Fiona is so desperate to get with Landon she's lost her mind. Scattered laughter started to fill the room. Landon looked at me with a dark expression. If you can't control your mouth, why are you drinking? I froze. Only then did I realize my slip of the tongue. But before I could explain, Leo, who had been silent all evening, let out a cold smirk. She was talking to me. Why are you so worked up? This time, the room was truly silent. Even quieter than before. The expression on Landon's face seemed to crack, piece by piece. Leo took me away. Before we left, he held my hand and stared at Landon. She and I are already married. Some people should stop being so full of themselves, don't you think? He didn't name names. But the target was crystal clear. Later, I heard. Landon's face went from white to red to purple, and he threw a huge fit. But I didn't care anymore. Because I had someone at home to appease. In the bedroom. I was straddling Leo's lap. I explained the whole story from beginning to end. I didn't tell you Landon would be there at first because I was really just afraid you'd get the wrong idea, hubby. In my heart, he's just a stranger, but I was worried you'd be bothered by it. Leo snorted. I'm only bothered when you hide things from me. I traced circles on his chest with my finger. I'm sorry, okay? I wasn't thinking straight, hubby. And besides, didn't we use this as a chance to go public with our marriage? Can we just call it even, please? Leo's hand wrapped around my waist. Kiss me. I obediently leaned in and gave him a kiss. He enjoyed that. Seeing that he didn't seem angry anymore, I took the opportunity to ask. So, since this was your business dinner, you must have known about it all along, right? He closed his eyes, his large hand stroking my back. But why did you even accept a dinner invitation from Landon's company? You never accepted one when I was there. Leo's answer was bold and righteous. He was harassing you. He annoyed me. I just wanted to make things difficult for him. Letting him think he was about to land the contract, only to find out it was all for nothing in the end. Isn't that more fun than just rejecting him outright? I poked his chest. I never realized you were so bad. Leo's eyes narrowed. I can be even worse. Want to see? Before I could react, he had me pinned beneath him. My lips were captured. Hubby. I love the sound of that, wifey. Wait. Can't wait. Here we go again.